I want to welcome you to another video lecture at the redoxdoc.com. Tonight, we're going to talk about prostate health and the core cellular issues. The prostate gland is an important gland in men, and it has, by the virtue of the fact that men are living longer, men are going to have to contend with the aging of the prostate gland. And for many men, this can be a very serious issue with either the development of an enlargement of the gland or development of cancer of the gland. So let me tell you a little bit about prostate health and sort of what's at play. The prostate gland is a little walnut-sized gland that lies deep within the urinary tract. It resides between the urinary bladder and the penis. And so it can be felt through the rectum. And so doctors can do a digital exam to actually touch and feel the nature of the prostate. Is it inflamed? Is it enlarged? Is there a nodule? These are things that should be done on an annual basis, at least every 2 years for sure, after the age of 50 for men, in conjunction with some lab work, which can help to determine the health of your prostate. So, however, it's one thing to do detection work or detective work. It's another thing to be actively engaged in doing something to promote the health of your prostate. So tonight I want to spend some time looking at that. What can we do to be proactive in keeping a healthy prostate gland? So the prostate, as far as aging goes, if it becomes aged and enlarged, is usually what happens, the medical world's focus is on the treatment of symptoms. So as it enlarges, it gets harder to urinate. You urinate frequently. And so there are medications that affect the tone of the bladder and urgency and things like that. It doesn't really get to the aging issue. Other problems involving a growth in the prostate or just a huge enlargement, we go in and do surgical treatments, again, treating the symptom, not getting to the cause. And that's great if you're obstructed and you can't pee. You need surgery. It's awful. But tonight I want to spend a little time talking about how to get to the root of staying well with our aging process. So we can age in balance. It takes a little work, and we're going to talk about how you can do that work. The enlargement of the prostate is called hypertrophy. So BPH, you've heard that term, benign prostatic hypertrophy. It involves the proliferation of cells. This usually begins when the testosterone levels drop and the body is adapting to issues that it doesn't know how to handle. For example, there might be toxic exposure to chemicals that you work around or exposed to. These chemicals can lead to a breakdown of the cell function and literally promote the development of cancer. So if we're not able to cope and adapt to that exposure, we can have trouble there. Cellular metabolic oxidation. So oxidative stress is an issue for the prostate. And as there is a process of toxic exposure, the cells of the prostate start to get out of balance with regard to the redox chemistry of those cells. Redox has to do with the oxidation and reduction processes that every cell has to deal with. And when these are imbalanced, there's a buildup of acids, so to speak, in the cell, and that leads to a failure of the cell to correct its imbalances. And in doing so, the cell doesn't do its work. Toxins build up. That cell will either die or quit being able to work. And oftentimes this leads to a proliferation of cells that are all acting very bizarre and half healthy. That leads to inflammation, and that inflammatory process causes a leakage of certain cytokines, they're called, chemicals that are a result of this inflammation that further irritates the metabolism of the cell, and all of a sudden things are kind of going downhill. You add that drop in testosterone. This organ is a testosterone receptor in the body, and without testosterone, the prostate has less healthy tissue. Now, I'm not talking about testosterone that you might take as a drug, pharmaceutical drug. I'm talking about the real thing, testosterone, that our body makes, or a bioidentical equivalent. So all of these things lead to enlargement, cell proliferation, oxidative stress, and can set the stage potentially for cancer development. So what could we do? Well, the solutions revolve around activating signaling in the cell, signaling meaning the ability of the cell to recognize its imbalance, to recognize that there's a buildup of acid. Sometimes cells can't tell that because there's no molecular messages being received or transmitted. And so the cell is just sick, doesn't even know it, and just sits there and continues to be sick. I mean, it really happens in our body. So what are these signaling processes? They revolve around redox molecules. They're called redox signaling molecules. And they help the cell recognize there's an imbalance. As it does, it goes about correcting it. We know how to do it. We just need to know what to do. So our prostate cells say, oh, too much metabolic oxidation. I'm not going to go toward inflammation. Let me back up and correct this. And it can do so, but it has to get the message. The other problems revolve around the restoration of a redox balance. So if we can restore the redox balance by helping the cell, perhaps we would want to supplement some redox molecules. We can do that nowadays. You can drink a supplement that contains a balanced formulation of these little molecules that help the signal and restore balance, and that buildup of too many of the oxidants can be corrected just simply by providing this supplement. And then when the cell is in a better balance, yes, it can reverse that trend and move backward toward a healthier state. And that is a term called reverse aging. You might have heard of that. Yeah, I've witnessed people who supplement their body with redox molecules actually have a drop in their PSA, a drop in the size of their prostate, an improvement in their urinary flow, and they can sleep better at night. It's a great thing, all just by drinking some of these redox molecules that are stabilized and allowed, able for us to ingest and get benefits from. So the results are improvements in our hormone balance, the production of energy within the cells, and to help the cells detoxify themselves by activating the effectiveness of antioxidants that are lying within our cells, sometimes dormant, not able to do their work because they don't have resources to work with. So I hope this helps you kind of get a feel for what's possible. As we age, we can age in balance. We can overcome these problems by activating cellular processes. And one of the greatest ways to do that is to provide a resource of redox signaling molecules to help these cells at a core level restore their balance. So thanks for paying attention and being part of our video series. Stay tuned and come back again, and we'll talk more about health science. Bye-bye.